down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, brothers, let's go down, come on down. Come on, brothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, fathers, let's go down, come on down. Oh, fathers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, mothers, let's go down, come on down, don't you wanna go down? Come on, mothers, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sinners, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sinners, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way.
Okay. Can I move this here a little bit? All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm just taking it in. Because this is such a circle moment for me in like so many ways. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is this okay? I move a lot, so I'll be mindful and I'll stay close to the mic. So it's a circle moment because my sister got married here 2 months ago. So like being back in this space for this is super special. It is also a circle moment for me because I have my own ritual Creative Mornings story. I found Creative Mornings in 2012 when the chapters was first created. And it was a really difficult time at the moment for me. You know, I was going through a divorce and had a broken heart and was feeling really abandoned. So finding Creative Mornings was really filling me with hope. And at the time, I was also coming up with this idea that I wanted to open a mezcal bar in downtown Raleigh. Please think about this. 2012, nobody knew what mezcal was. And here I am like, yeah, let's open a mezcal bar. We couldn't even find it here. And I had also found somebody that believed that this could be a possibility and wanted to be the bar manager of this project. So I invited him to come to Creative Mornings. And it kind of became a ritual for us to come to Creative Mornings every month and get a sugar high and get a caffeine high and get an inspiration high, and then brainstorm about what would be possible for this bar. So that project is Gallo Pelon. Gallo Pelon is now 9 years old, and that person is John Marshall Davis. He is now my business partner, and we currently have 2 places. Joel mentioned them. Ex Voto, which is now 4 years old, and the recently opened Patty Boy about a month and a half ago. He's also one of my best friends, and he's here today. Thank you for being here. I also want to credit my other good best friend, Suzanne. The bud, thorn, and rose exercise, I learned it from her. And I took it upon, it was just a thing that really spoke to me, and it is a thing that now I share with a lot of people, so thank you for that. Alrighty, what is ritual? I did some research online. Nothing really resonated with me. Google research online. So I asked some people that are really close to me, what do you guys think about ritual? What is ritual for you? I realized this morning that I did not ask permission to share their definitions, so disclosure. So if you hear your voice here, please know that I'm grateful for what you shared, but I'm going to do it anonymously. So ritual represents a structure of intentional practice or ceremony that holds symbolic significance. Somebody else said it's a personal code or way of doing things that you stick to because of how it makes you feel. Ritual is self-care with agency. Basic little reminders of who I am, where I am, what I like, and how I find no-make comfort in the day-to-day. And a friend recommended this book called The Power of Ritual by Casper Ter-Kuile. I think it's Casper Ter-Kuile. And I found some sort of definition there that really, really spoke to me. And this is not verbatim, but rituals are a spiritual practice that requires intention, attention, and repetition. I figured it would be interesting for me to talk about my life in the context of ritual by asking some basic questions. So what? Why did I learn about rituals when I was growing up? Who did I learn these rituals from? How have I been able to internalize ritual in my life? And why is ritual important? So what? I was born in Bogota, 1976, and I lived there until 1994. Colombia was a Roman Catholic state until 1991, when the Constitution changed. And it became a país laico, which is a secular state. But regardless of that, Colombian is very Catholic. So a lot of the rituals that I learned growing up were Catholic in nature. Lots of church on Sundays, and I love a church. I love the way it smells. I love the colors in the church, the lighting in a church. And I love how intimate they can feel. I learned a lot about praying, and especially for the forgiveness of the sins if you're a Catholic. A lot of devotion and faith, and a lot of our Catholic ceremonies. So baptisms, big Catholic weddings, First Communions, and my favorite, novenas. So novenas are these 9 days of celebrations that we have at the end of the year. It's 9 days before Christmas Eve. And the way that novenas go are you gather with your friends and family and your neighbors. And you gather around the nativity set for 9 days before Christmas, and then you follow this little book that is called the Novena de Aguinaldos. And this book tells the story of Joseph and Mary, their journey into Bethlehem until baby Jesus is born. So you gather around, you have the little book, every day you read about the story of the day, and then you pray to all the saints, and then you sing to all the saints. And it's really fun, and everybody gets to read a little bit. And then when all the praying is done, you start to drink, and you start to dance, and you start to have a party. And you do this for 9 days before Christmas. It is a lot. It is really fun. And I loved doing this growing up. And if you know me, I still love doing it to this day. So these were the beginnings of my understanding of what a ritual was. Who taught me about rituals? Obviously culture, right? But when I think of the people that I actually saw doing rituals and these things, I think of two people, and I call them las doñas. Doña Miriam, this is my mom. She's a single mother of two. She raised me and my sister, Margarita, in Bogota, which is a pretty tough city to raise two kids, especially in her condition, which was very little resources, very little education. And she struggled a lot. But I believe that it was her faith that held her together, like really held her emotionally and mentally. This is my quinceañera, by the way. Mom did a ton of praying. She was always praying rosaries. She had an altar in her home, and she did little offerings to the altar. She also took us on a ton of pilgrimages during Holy Week because she was always praying for miracles. I do not know what she was praying for, but she was praying for something. And then, you know, when you pray for a miracle, if the miracle becomes true, then you have to go pay respects to the saint that you prayed this miracle to. So we were always traveling to different churches and to different saints so she could pay her respects. She also would burn herbs in a pot and walk around our little apartment, I don't know, just walking around. And to me, I really thought she was crazy. Because my mom was not a communicator. You know, we never really knew what was going on or what was coming. We were just kind of like witnesses to our lives and to what she was doing. Fast forward 30 years, if you know me, I am the first person to light up a Palo Santo or a sage bundle and clear up a room. Because I learned, living here, about spirit, about energy, and now I understood what she was doing, but at the time I had no idea. I just thought she was crazy. And we spent our weekdays with her, so we would go to school and spend our days with her. But during the weekends, she would send us off to our grandparents. And that's where the other Doña Tulia, the other Doña comes. This is Doña Tulia. Doña Tulia is my dad's mother. She was the mother of 10, and she became a mother when she was 14 years old. She was small. She was kind of quiet, or at least that's how I remember her. But man, she was a mighty woman. And she did it as best as she could with the tools that she had. and for as long as she could. And all the rituals I learned from her were around family and gatherings and celebrations. She was generous in a way I don't think she thought she could ever be. She was a baker, and she taught us how to make mojicones, which were these like sweet little pastries that were filled with bocadillo and rolled in sugar, and we loved them. She was also a florist, so my love for flower arrangements comes from her. But most importantly, my grandmother was an incredible cook. And that was her love language. And her house was a hub for celebrations, big celebrations and little celebrations. Anything that needed to be celebrated, from birthdays to weddings to baptisms, it happened at her house. If it was a birthday, she was baking a cake. If it was a graduation, she was making somebody's favorite meal. It was vibrant. Being there was vibrant. And being at her home during the weekends was an energetic charge of feeling like we belonged to something special, and that all these celebrations were essential to our well-being. How have I been able to internalize ritual in my life? This is my sister Margarita. We grew up together, and we were super, super close. She died when she was 25 years old. It was a super difficult time in my life because I was really young too. And I did my best to reach out to those like Catholic early rituals that I had learned when I was little to cope with my loss. But, you know, it was hard to navigate. Thankfully, after 5 months after her death, I learned that I was pregnant. And I became mother to Sara, who's here today, and then to Anna, who actually came from Greensboro and surprised me in being here today. And then when my youngest was 1, we opened Centro. Centro is this Mexican restaurant in downtown Raleigh that has been in business for 17 years this year. So I got busy. I got busy with being a mom and being a business owner and trying to figure all of it out. So I set my grief in a shelf and didn't deal with it for a little while. It wasn't until a year into being open that my kitchen crew came to me and said, "Hey, boss, can we set up an ofrenda in the restaurant for Dia de Muertos?" I wasn't familiar with this tradition, but I knew it was important for them, so I said, "Sure, what do you need?" I said, "We need paper, we need flowers, we'll get the rest." So I said, "Here's the paper, here's the flowers." And then they got to work, and I left. And when I came back and saw the ofrenda for the first time, I was in awe. It was so beautiful. It was so colorful. It was filled with details. It was just such a special thing. They had even created a little arch with like a pipe that they found, and they had paper around it, like color paper, and they had made little flowers. And then every level of the altar had little offerings of sweetbreads and candy and little things to drink and other little flower arrangements. It was just beautiful. And you know that there are times when you are in the presence of something and your body says, yes. That was a moment for me when my body said yes. And I knew it. I knew it then that these, I don't know exactly what, but these I had to hold on with both of my hands. So over the next few years, this is our first altar at the restaurant. So over the next few years, I took it upon myself to set up the ofrenda at work and at home. And in the process of setting up the ofrenda, I was able to grab the grief from that shelf and work through the pain of losing my sister. And these are some of the ofrendas that I've set up over the years. This is last year's. Why? Why are rituals important? For me, a ritual is important because it has allowed me personally to move from a place of pain into a place of celebration and commemoration for my sister, but also for myself and for my family. You know, rituals help us remember. Rituals can be really healing. After a few years from the first time we set up the ofrenda at the restaurant, we started the Day of the Dead 5K. This is a race that benefits the Boys and Girls Club, and it's now in its 12th year. This year, the race is October 26th, so I encourage all of you to participate. Whether you're a runner or a walker, you can still register. If you want to sponsor a kid to run, you can do that, or you can just come and be an spectator. It is really a special event. As part of the race, we have moved the ofrenda from the restaurant to the cemetery, and now it is a community ofrenda. And it grows every year. So ritual is important because it creates community. Last year, we decided to expand the celebration at the cemetery, and we created Dia de Oakwood. Dia de Oakwood is a project that focuses on education, outreach, and to honor pre-Columbian Mexican traditions. This last year, over 3 days of celebration, we had thousands of people stop by the cemetery and experience Dia de Muertos in the most authentic ways that we could provide. We had food, we had traditional dancing, we had music, and we had 7 ofrendas that were created by different partners within the community, including our community ofrenda. It was really a magical, magical event. So ritual is important because it connects us, and inside of that connection, it can be really healing. And I believe that we need both. This was one of the nights at the cemetery. It was just so beautiful. And if you get a chance to join us this year, you should. You won't regret it. So these days, my life is filled with many rituals. Some daily, some weekly, some monthly, some yearly. Every morning, this is one of my daily rituals. Every morning, I take my dogs on a walk to the greenway, and I say a little prayer over the turtle pond by my house. As you might imagine, the dogs did not get a walk this morning. And I have not said my little prayer. So I thought that maybe we could do it together, and I could share my prayer with you. Does that sound comfortable for everybody? Okay. So if you would be so kind to close your eyes or lower your gaze. And maybe join your hands or grab somebody else's hand. And let's take a deep breath. May I start this day with an open heart. May I trust that every step I take will land where it must. May I own my wisdom with kindness and grace. May I be of service to my community. May I find joy in every moment. Thank you for this day and the opportunity that it brings. Thank you.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away somewhere all bright and new. I have seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, go find a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. Ooh, ooh, you belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your trouble and worry. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Thank you, Caroline and Lisa.
So
Thank you. Yeah,
before we finish, I want to leave you guys with a call to action. 75 days to November 5th. Let's not take our democracy for granted and either register to vote and have a plan for that day so you can get to the voting site. And if you've already done all that, make sure that you find at least one person within your circle that you can get registered to vote and you can help them get to voting. It is so important. We cannot take it for granted. It is a privilege that we have, but it is also our duty. And I want you to know that this year, I am going to vote with my kids together for the very first time. I mean, I've been voting, but this will be the first time that they vote, so we will do it together. So do it too. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's hear it once again. we have, I think, around 10-ish minutes for those that want to stick around. As you're on your way out, though, please grab a little treat, the collaboration macaron from the Bakehouse. We have about 10 minutes or so for Q&A. Dallas?
I'll kick this off. I just want to say thanks for being creating a business that gives back to community. I think you've done with this road race, for example, you've upended the traditional road race and just brought so much joy to so many kids and people here. I just want to say thank you. Let's start with that. Now my question. You talked in the beautiful prayer that you shared, you talked about finding the joy in every moment. And yet, I think you talked a lot about pain and difficulty with losing your sister and some other things too. Can you find joy in pain? I think it's a really deep-seated question. I think you talked a lot about, again, beauty and joy, but can you find it? And if so, how? And how are you doing that? Because you have struggled, and then I look at you and I just smile.
Well, Jimmy, I think life is about both, right? We could not live a life of just pure joy, because then it would lose its shine. And those of us who've been in this world long enough have to experience pain and loss and grief. But I think that when we know that there's always hope on the other side, and that pain and grief and loss is just going to continue to build us to be more resilient and more graceful, then you just kind of move through it, And hopefully, if you have a support system, that makes it easy. But I think it comes, being in this world and being a human in this world, pain and joy is going to be hand in hand. So you just take it each as they come, and then you know that things will get better, and then at some point there'll be challenges. So you just, what is it that little Dory says? You just keep on swimming. Keep on swimming, is that what she says? Yeah.
Hey, quick question. So obviously on the community side of things, I think you're a beacon, right, that people look towards for guidance, right, for how to build ritual, which builds community, as Dallas was talking about. But if you look back before Central, let's just say 2 decades, what was missing then that you enjoy today? And what is your future as far as community and ritual? And then what is a future ritual that you would like to see either you build or someone else build?
So you're saying what was missing from the community, or what was missing for me? I think that as an immigrant in this country, I have always searched and tried to reach out for community, right? Because it was such an important thing of when I was growing up, especially around my grandmother's and my grandparents' home. So feeling that I belong to a special place and a special group, as an immigrant, I think that was lacking for a long time. So I've always tried to find these pockets of belonging in this country. But then you get busy with life, and I got really busy with life, especially when I became a mother and I became a business owner. And it took a lot of loss at different times in my life to be able to stop and reflect and kind of pay attention to what was missing for me, and then start to try to figure out where to, find connection or find grounding. I don't know if that answers your question. It's a constant seeking of, where to belong. And I think that ritual really helps me with that. And as far as the future, you know, my kids just graduated from high school and they're both in college now. So I have been trying to feel my way into what the future of our connection as mothers and daughters, like where is this going? Like, is it strong enough? Is it flexible enough? Like as they move into the world and become the people that they need to become, like, do we have enough rituals in our, you know, collective unit that are gonna hold us together? So I'm just gonna keep on kind of watering and nurturing that in the hopes that it is a yes. And for the community, you know, we're always doing something. I'm excited about the new projects that we have, and I know that there'll be plenty of opportunities and platforms to do more things that involve the greater community.
Angela, thank you so much for the ways that you show up in our community as one of our community mothers. You keep us fed, you give us wisdom. Anytime I've ever been in your presence, I've just walked away in awe of who you are as a person. So thank you so much for that. My question today, though, is how do we keep taking care of our community as it grows, as it shifts, especially as downtown right now is in this flux? That's sort of the heartbeat of your home. What can we all collectively be doing to move our community forward?
We need to show up. You know, when I remember when I first arrived to Raleigh 30 years ago, downtown looked very different than what it looks like today. And I grew up in Bogota. Bogota is a busy, eclectic city with a lot of things going on. So I came to Raleigh and it's like crickets. And I was like, what do we do in this country? What do we do in this city? And I remember I would search for things to do. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember the Spectator and the Indy. Is the Indy still in print? Yeah. Okay, well, the Independent and the Spectator were our kind of like weekly newspapers. And they always had a calendar of things to do. So as soon as I learned that those things existed, I would pick them up and research. And on ESL class, I would always give a report, like there's this new opening, there's a show, there's a thing. And I would actively and intentionally seek for things to do so I could feel that this community and this place was interesting to be part of. But it took effort. And I, you know, like, I was an ESL student. So I think it's the same, I think the same applies for us right now. You know, like we have to actively and intentionally make our community be the community that we want it to be. So if we want downtown to be vibrant, we need to show up for downtown. If we want more art, we need to advocate for more art. If we want more safety, we need to really think about what in our structure and in our community is missing so we can shift that. But we can't sit, it's like democracy, right? Like we are so privileged to have it that it kind of like, it just sits there and we benefit. We just kind of like rip the benefits from it. But it takes work. You need to show up to vote, you need to be informed, you need to pass on this information to the next generation and empower them so they know that they have agency. I think it is the same for us. We can't just be like, I just want to be, and please don't take offense. I just want to live in the suburbs where it's nice and clean and manicured. Like, no, you know, downtown Raleigh is the capital of the state. We should feel proud that we live here, and it is going to take all of us to make it more diverse and more inclusive. So I think you just show up.
All right, you.
Hi, great talk, Mike. Great. I was just curious how your restaurant made it through the pandemic, and did Ritual play any part in it?
Man, that was a hard time. I think we barely made it. I think we're still barely making it. It's a tough business. It requires a lot of you physically and emotionally and mentally. And I think that the only way that we've been able to kind of make it for the last 17 years is by believing that we can, again, showing up for each other day in and day out, to really trust that the team that we have believes in what we're doing. And I personally feel like I made it through the pandemic by gardening. If you have been to our space, Gallo Pelon, it's housed on the second floor of our building, and we have a beautiful garden. That was COVID. It was me planting and replanting and, just trying to get into some sort of meditative, active behavior that helped me to stay sort of focused. But yeah, I don't know. It's still a challenge, for sure. But, there.
One last question. Who's got? Oh, I can't see that.
Your food is always incredible. What is your order at Central?
What are the hours at Centro for everybody to visit?
So Centro is open for lunch Monday through Friday from 11:30 to 2:30. And for dinner, after the pandemic, we are only opening Wednesday through Saturday from 5 to 10. I love our lunch combo. And so when a lunch combo, you kind of get to pick from different things. Mine is a little chicken soup, a side salad, and a fish taco. That's my order.
What's your crunch wrap? Not Central. What's your crunch wrap order at Extra?
Chicken crunch wrap. If you've ever had a crunch wrap, it's a pound of food. I cannot ever eat a pound of food in one sitting. So I either have them make me a baby crunch wrap or like one chicken crunch wrap, and then I eat a couple bites and I take the rest home. That's why I was hesitant about that question.
Let's give it up again. Thank you.